Hi, my name is Chuck Gardner. I started my career in photography in 1969 while I was a member of the Aqua Rays Diving Club at the YMCA in Chicago, 111th Street YMCA. And one of the members of the club was a professional photographer, and he had a Nikonus underwater camera. And I had taken a trip to the Florida Keys to John Pennekamp State Park and was blown away by the colorful fish and came back wanting to be a photographer, be the next Jacques Cousteau. That seemed to be like the ideal career in my life. Well, fast forward to 1983, and I'm a foreign service specialist, printing specialist in Manila as deputy director and production manager of the U.S. Information Agency printing plant in the Philippines, and spending every other weekend down at the beach in Anilao diving and taking underwater pictures. In between, I had worked as a professional photographer's assistant for Monty Zucker. Monty Zucker was the most popular wedding photographer and the most successful in the United States. He wrote the column on wedding photography in Professional Photographer magazine, which was how I knew him. When I saw his ad for an apprentice in the Washington Post newspaper after I dropped out of college after 2 years and moved to Washington, D.C. to look for a job as a photographer. It was my first lucky break of many. My second was a couple years later when I bought a new house and discovered that my next door neighbor was the assistant chief of the photo labs at National Geographic. 3 weeks later, I was working there as an apprentice technician. Within a year, I was teaching classes in photo technology, photolithography, what I did at work at Montgomery College. I'd gone there to take classes to get an associate degree in printing technology in the hope of getting into management at National Geographic, when my teacher, discovering where I worked and what I already knew, asked me, "Hey, do you want to teach this class? I want to go on days." So I wrote a new syllabus for teaching the class on a goal, strategy, techniques basis, gave it to the department chairman, and he decided to take a chance letting me teach the class. And I wound up teaching it for 5 years in the evening, which nearly increased my salary by about a third because I wasn't making much at National Geographic as an apprentice. And I even added an advanced class to the curriculum of the college. So it was it was my first leadership experience. Then from there wasn't any promotion opportunities at National Geographic. It was such a great place to work. Nobody ever moved on, and you had to wait 15 years for your department lead to retire before you got promoted. So I decided to change careers. I was restoring a house at the same time in downtown DC. So I looked for a job and found one at a printing company that was 10 minutes away from where I lived that allowed me to work on the second shift as a troubleshooter. Within a year, I was the production manager there because I submitted an idea for reorganizing the company, because I'm that type of person. I think outside of the box. I was having a problem with a supervisor of the job assembly department changing the plans that I made, and my solution for that was to reorganize the department and eliminate his job. And the CEO liked the idea, and 2 weeks later, I get taken to lunch by the customer service manager, and he tells me that the CEO has greenlit the plan, and starting Monday, I'm the new production manager with a 40% raise. So that's how amazing my career was. And I was production manager there. Then I moved on to another company. I became a system manager. I started developing my own computer databases on a Wang computer there. Another company saw it and hired me to set up a similar system. And that's where I was working when USIA contacted me after 2 years after I had initially interviewed. So that was my path into the Foreign Service, and going full circle in my photography back to being able to dive and take underwater pictures. So that's my story, and these are going to be some tutorials to try to pay forward the lessons that I learned from Monty Zucker, all the great technicians I work with at National Geographic, the editors, the staff photographers, and all the experts from Kodak and DuPont that I was able to take classes and learn from. And this is my home studio that I've created in my garage using a painted background that I painted back in around 2005 when I had a still photography studio in my basement in my house in Manassas. It's been in storage ever since, but I thought I would break it out and use it to do some tutorials on film to supplement my website, which is not really used anymore because people just don't read, but it's got a wealth of tutorials. So I'm doing this mainly as an introduction to my website.